Trackwrestling.com here in Paris, France. Another day, lots of sunshine here at the World Championships, here with Terry Brands. Terry, obviously you got a lot of experience as an athlete and as a coach at this event. What do you appreciate on the coaching side of it, and then just general thoughts on how awesome World Championship events are?
It's the best event in the world. It's the toughest event in the world right now outside of the Olympic Games, and the Olympic Games happen every 4 years, and this is that event in between those years, so it's huge.
Thomas Gilman, you'll be coaching him in his corner. You recall the first encounter you had with Gilman way back when? I
do. Very strong encounter in a sense where you watch him and you know him, and you see him where you want your program to go and the kind of direction, the leadership, and he was an instrumental part in turning that around there in those lean years. And he stepped in immediately. He's a vocal guy. If you're out of line, he's one of those guys. If you're out of line, he's very vocal, and that's what we need in that locker room. And he does his own thing, but he does it right, and he holds himself accountable, and he holds other people around him accountable, and it's been awesome.
One of my favorite quotes from you is, "Figure it out." I mean, I think sometimes you can get real complicated. Sometimes it's pretty simple. Figure it out. Was there a time, like all young wrestlers, when Gilman had to figure it out? And what did he do to turn that corner?
I think it was very early. I think there were some things going on in that first month or 2 months of school, and he was, doing a good job, but really wasn't doing the things that he came to Iowa to do, And so we had a conversation, and it was immediately addressed by him after the conversation. There was very little follow-up, if any, from myself. There was zero follow-up. There might have been something coming from Tom or another mentor that he had, but very, very responsive, trusting, knowing that we had his back and we had his best interest in mind, and he believed that, and that's really where his wrestling took off. And the thing is he was a cadet world team member. He was a junior national champion. He was a junior world team member, bronze in the juniors after he came to Iowa. So he was already, in the know or a household name in America anyway, from a youth perspective. But when you hit that college level, you can get lost. And he didn't allow himself to do that. He stayed on track, and he stayed on the straight and narrow in there, and was very, very accountable to himself. I keep using that word accountable, but that's where it was. What
does accountability mean to you?
It means that you govern yourself, and you do the things that you're supposed to be doing. Where even and here's the thing, we're all gonna go out and let our hair down, and some guys do it some way, some guys do it another way, and it's not a judgmental thing from my perspective or our perspective, but it's about, okay, so you go out, you do it, but let's get back to work. Let's get back to work. Let's do the things that we know we're supposed to be doing, governing ourselves, being accountable, being taking care of what we came here to accomplish, and why are you here, kind of a thing. If you're here to whatever, then let's not kid ourselves anymore. Let's get back to the straight and narrow.
It's a question I have for you, actually, written down the road. I love to talk about this to coaches. I think you apply it to wrestling, life in general as well. Everybody talks about wanting to be the best in the world. They want to be the best, but very few people truly understand that concept, what it takes. That changes everything. What are a couple of things that top of mind awareness for you when you say you want to be the best in the world? What are a couple of things you better be doing to prove it?
Well, it's more than that. It's to be the best in the world is a statement, and then what backs that up? It's the work, it's the thoughts, it's the lifestyle, it's the things that you're doing. Okay, so you have an aspiration. My aspiration, I want to be the best I want to be the best wrestler in the world. Okay, so what's the map look like? What's the plan look like? And that's where the rubber meets the road, and it's an everyday journey. And that doesn't mean, and this is where, we get hit a little bit, because they say, well, it's work and no fun. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying, but in my mind, in my heart, it's in me. It's part of me. It doesn't mean that I don't have fun. It doesn't mean that we're not friendly. It doesn't mean that we're not close-knit. It means that we're more close-knit, and we're very private. We're a very private organization that's very, very close-knit, and that's good. And that's good because you got that mysteriousness about with your opposition. You know, these Russians are coming around, they're looking around, or these Iranians, or these, you know, the opposition's coming around, they're looking around, and that's mysterious. And, you know, just because you're walking down the road with your mouth straight doesn't mean you're not happy inside.
Trackwrestling.com, Shane Sparks alongside Terry Brands here in Paris World Championships. Getting back to Gilman, what are a couple of things, Terry, that give you the confidence he'll have success? And in the same token, what are some things that you're maybe a little bit concerned on with the experience factor that they could be challenging for him?
The confidence statement, you know, I don't know. It's not me. I mean, I feel very, very good about his ability, and it doesn't matter what I feel. It's going to be him. It's the ball's rolling, and it's in motion, and he looks very, very solid right now, but you got to go out there and you got to perform. And he is a warrior. He's one of those guys that carries it on his sleeve, as they say, and he's not afraid to you know, show his emotions, but they're controlled, and that may be a little bit something that he's done a lot better than, you know, I did, where, you know, sometimes those emotions would get carried outside of maybe where they're supposed to be. He's more self-contained. He's very, very disciplined that way.
Leading up to the days right before competition, what's your message to him? Does it change at all?
He knows. He knows the message. We're on point. It's not like we're, you know, pulling things and then, oh yeah, and then, oh, we forgot about that, you know. I mean, obviously, right? So the message is the same. Take care of the wrestling. Know where you're at. Know when you're in trouble, and get the heck out of there. Counter offense is critical. You know, those kind of things. He's gonna be in a guy's face. Not concerned about that, but. And then some other things we don't need to say right now.
Specifically to Gilman, and you've been with him a long time, you've been with him on the big stage at of course, the NCAAs. What are some things you're paying special attention to with him specifically to keep a pulse on where he's at?
Again, there's not a lot. That's a normal with him. He knows what he needs to do, and he's very, very strong and stable, psychologically, spiritually, and mentally. So it's ready to go. It's a physical part that's going to happen here shortly when we step on the mat, and then we'll see. But it's nothing. It's nothing new. It's nothing. Like I said, that we're just shooting from the hip from it all.
High expectations for this team overall. What are some of your, thoughts? You're on this whole team.
It's awesome. It's you got 2 Olympic gold medals. You got 2. Well, let's see. We got 3 world champions. Stever winning, and how many medals is that? 5 world gold medals right there, between the 3 of them and the 2 Olympic gold medals. It's been a while since we've had that kind of personnel. It's to me. I like it. I mean, I don't like to say that because the wrestling has to take place, but I really, really like this team, and these guys are very, very selfless with each other, but very, very selfish and self-contained with knowing what they need to do. And this deal with Zeke Jones and the idea that he had with the regional training centers has just been awesome. And then you had Doc Bennett, who wanted the age groups funded before that, and that's starting to collide. And if it's not this year, it's coming. Because those 2 ideas between those 2 guys has been really, really healthy for our organization with the grassroots. And wrestling's on the grow in America. And those 2 guys, they like I said, when those ideas are coming together now.
I get asked quite a bit in my experiences with you and your brother, mainly on Big Ten Network. I always say the same thing, and I've said this to you before. I said, they're great guys. They're always fair. I said, you put a scoreboard around them, and it gets interesting. You're as fiery and as competitive as it gets. With that being said, what's it like I look at a Steber this morning, and I know you're not in his corner, but obviously you coached against him when you had Ramos, and you probably coached against most of these guys. What's it like now you're on their team?
You want the best for the American. You always want the American to win. You know, I'll give you an example of this Mayweather and whatever this other guy, McGregor. The fight that's coming on. I love McGregor. He's a competitor.
Okay.
But I want the American to win. I want the American guy to win. You know, and it's the same thing here. I know, these guys all know, I've been on them and out of our corner, and I've had our guys ready to go to kick their tail up around their ears, and I'm not going to tell them that. That makes them better. We're coming after them when we compete against them, but when I'm in your corner, you're going to get the same thing that we give to our guys, because they are our guys. They're Americans, and they're our countrymen, and I support them wholly, 100%.
You study this sport as much as anybody. You won 2 world titles yourself. From a technical standpoint, what are some of the biggest differences between now and when you were winning world titles?
I don't know that there is. I don't know that there is. I think that there's been some evolving. There's been some rules that made things better, like on the edge of the mat. It was a horrible push-out rule at the beginning because, you know, guys were tiptoeing out like ballet, and now it's become an art and precision and technical, you know. So it's evolved that way a little bit with wizard downs and things like that on the edge of the mat, but really it's about coming in and being able to bring your best, what you have in you, being able to bring that where your head and your heart are connected, I always say, and being able to push that idea, if it's an idea, being able to push that idea together where that head and that heart become connected and then explode.
How were you able to do that yourself?
And it's every day. It's every day. You know, there's a story where my brother got in a fist fight in 5th grade because a guy made fun of him because he said he was going to be an Olympic champion. It's every day. It's in my head. I didn't have the talent where all of a sudden I just hatched this idea and then I'm going to do it in 3 years. You know, it was every single day. You know, and you talked about the intensity. You know, my dad, I grew up with a guy that was, you know, that your opponent's got 1 foot in bounds and the whistle hasn't blown. Take him. Go after him. Never, ever, ever let him breathe. And that's what I grew up with, and that's what Gable taught, and that's what I will continue to teach. It served me well.
When did you know, do you remember like a day, a moment when you knew you wanted to be the best in the world?
5th grade, like I said, we kind of started to wrestle and studied the wrestling and found out what the highest pinnacle of the sport was, and it was Olympic gold medal, and Dan Gable's name was prevalent. And the guys that started us in wrestling, you know, Northwest Iowa, Gable. You know, he's from Waterloo, straight east of us about, you know, 200 miles or whatever, but being from Northwest Iowa, you know who Dan Gable is. You know who Dan Gable is no matter what part of the world you're in. And, you know, it was just one of those things where that's what you want to be, because before that, when wrestling wasn't around in your life, it was, I'm playing in the NFL. You know, I'm gonna play in the big leagues, in the major leagues. You know, it was just always that kind of a thing. And wrestling was when it got in my blood, it stayed there.
When you look back at winning those 2 world titles, couple of memories that, whatever they might be, stand out.
You keep going back. That was 100 years ago.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago, Terry.
Let's see. The Cuban match in '93. That's pretty well documented on social media and YouTube or whatever, and with Wilson. Very, very heated match. He was doing what he had to do to win. You know, I wasn't winning. I was in control, and the inside tripped me for 3 to my back. And I had to come dig myself out of that hole. And in that tournament also, Umakanov, I was beating him, and he had me in a trap arm gut. You know, and I had a finger that was keeping me from going over. And I remember after that match, probably the best memory I have was Schultz. I can't believe, you know, yeah, he had you so tight. Did he have you tight? And I go, oh, yeah, he had me tight. Hey, it looked like he had you so tight. I can't believe you didn't go over it. You know, that was first match right out of the gun, me and Umakanov. That, you know, that's the World Championships, that blind draw. And I know they're changing that and stuff, but, you know, it was big then. And then, of course, Atlanta at home. So,
what's the most underestimated aspect of this tournament? Underestimated, that maybe people aren't paying attention to, that's super important.
The one-day event, thinking that it's easier. The 3-day event in, you know, collegiate wrestling, there's a certain grind to that. The one-day event, there's a certain part of that is really, really misinterpreted or understood. The psychological, the amount of focus, and being relaxed, and being able to get through that kind of stuff. And a one-day event is nothing to sneeze at, especially when you're wrestling the best guys in the world.
I know your focus is here, but I can't let you go without asking you about your Hawkeyes. Before you know it, it'll be college wrestling season. Two or three things on your mind?
We like our team, and
you always like your guys.
We like our team. We believe in our guys, and we got to mentor them up, coach them up to take that belief and instill it in themselves and their lives.
What do you think the state is right now of college wrestling compared to where it's been the last 10, 20 years?
I think it's better. Obviously, I think there's some things that can be done more, and I think that they're moving more toward that edge of the mat stuff, and they need to get rid of if a guy backs out of bounds that you can caution the other guy. That's a silly rule. It's a passive aggressive rule from guys that don't want to work to get on the mat, and I'll say that to anybody, and there's guys out there that are going, he's stalling when our guy's pushing a guy off the mat. Get your butt to the center. That's what wrestling is. It's about wrestling in the center of the mat, controlling your opponent and controlling the space around you, controlling your mindset, controlling your emotions. And when you're backing out of bounds, I don't care. A grown man's going to push me out of bounds and call me for stalling. That's where I'm at. I don't be victims about it. Hey, push me out of bounds, hit me for stalling. I hope to gosh that they did. And that's where I'm at with that. That's the one thing about the college wrestling you want to get me on a soapbox that really irritates me.
Anything else for us?
I love you guys, and keep it going, and good job of getting, I don't know how you did it, but you got into UWW here, and right?
Yeah, this has been great with Track Wrestling. We got the stream, so the people back in Iowa City can be watching Gilman. Iowa fans all over, United States fans all over the place.
United States, that's right.
Really appreciate the time, Terry.
Thank you.
A lot of fun. Thank you.
Yeah.